define quality for me? Right, because you asked the question of how do we maintain our quality? I would like somebody here to raise their hand and define the quality of what SK2 must maintain to on a post on TikTok.
If it sells the product, it's a quality ad.
So that's interesting. You've just, we need to be friends immediately. That is not the first thing I expect. That just completely went, I wish you could see what's happening through my body. I believe that is one of the most important answers I've ever heard in the 13 years that I've done this. I agree with that. I agree that quality, one of the absolute things we should judge when we say quality is, does it sell the product? Now I get to do a Procter & Gamble example of this based on what just happened. Why are we sitting here today? I will tell you from my perspective why we are. A gentleman by the name of Chris Hyatt, who worked in the US and ran Olay, had the intuitive belief after hearing me speak at a conference that I might not be crazy, that I might be onto something, and asked us to go to Cincinnati and have a meeting. So we did. We talked it through because he is an operator, business, not an ideological marketer. He gave us a chance. Because I was selling it, I didn't compromise in any step of the way of the model, thus rendering us to do the model, which is consumer segmentation at scale, volume at scale, because quality is subjective. Quantity is not. We did the model. We were building up Olay.com. Very easy to measure on Olay.com. Very different than selling at Tesco or Sainsbury, right? Or at Walmart. You could see it. The piece of creative that changed our relationship, Vayner and Procter, a single piece of creative changed our relationship forever. Not a commercial that won a Cannes Lion, a single Facebook post. Do you know what that Facebook post looked like? It was a picture of a cat.
Lasers.
With lasers coming out of its eyes. Olay has a standard, not SK2 standard, but just to give you the preview, a cat with lasers coming out of its eye was below the standard. If it was to be in a subjective meeting, but because the model was built on we can do it our way, that ad sold the living bejesus out of Olay, was converted into outdoor media because it was proven to be working, and became a conversation that we were able to continue to build from. So you threw me a tremendous curveball by answering in a way that is so dear to my heart. I do believe quality has to factor in it achieving the mission at hand, which is to get someone to buy it. I agree with you. I also believe that the way quality is debated in every boardroom in the Fortune 500 CPG landscape is completely based on someone's opinion, if it is hitting luxury enough, funny enough, irreverent enough, their personal opinion. And so I think that, to answer your question, we must define quality first. I think everyone here intuitively understands if they had to bet their children's health on it, what the TikTok would look like to make it SK2 sell probably looks very different than what would be approved by everyone in here. And that becomes the debate that I would like to have, because why are we emotional about what is relevant? Why are we emotional about what is relevant? Today, luxury around the world requires, for growth, to do partnerships with streetwear brands. Do you understand 25 years ago, if you told Louis Vuitton or Gucci or Hermes that they would be doing collaboration deals with street kids from Queens, they would laugh you out of the room. But they got to a point where they couldn't win on relevance enough anymore without them. We must learn from what's happened prior to us. I learned how to be a marketer because I ran my father's wine and liquor store at 22 years old, and I had a very big passion to build my family's business. I was born in the Soviet Union. and we immigrated to America when I was 3 years old. And we grew up, very humbly, and my father got a job as a stock boy in a liquor store and eventually owned it. So very first generation, son of a merchant since I was 14. 7, I had my own businesses. At 14, I started working for my father. Much to actually how I think about SK2 of a premium product within a category. My father's liquor store was called Shoppers Discount Liquors. So he sold beer and liquor and wine, but discount, lower end. But the store was located in one side of it was very blue collar, but the other side was white collar and had affluence. And I started noticing at 14 and 15 that people were coming in and asking for expensive wine. And I thought that was interesting. Even at a young age, I cared more about paying attention to the customer than any rule that existed. And so in that, I learned that people wanted these certain wines. I learned about wine, and in 1997, I launched one of the first e-commerce wine businesses in America. And I was able to build my father's business from a $3.5–4 million a year top line business doing 10% gross profit. So a very small business to a almost $70 million business in an 8-year period with no money, with no venture capital, with not even a credit line. My dad didn't believe in it. Wow. And the way I did that is the way I do it today and the way I would do it if I started one tomorrow. And this is gonna answer why I have so much anxiety about Fortune 500 marketing. With whatever money you have for marketing, you must squeeze it and it must work unbelievably hard to make the thing happen. You can't create growth without new customers or without having such a great service that you create word of mouth. So back then it was having a website, that was revolutionary. Back then it was doing an email newsletter, which was profound because it didn't cost me any money. I was doing direct mail and it would work, but that cost money. Email, I was able to send an email. As a matter of fact, I sent so many emails in the mid-90s because I thought by the year 2000, they're gonna charge for this. This is true. Later, what really took the scale was Google AdWords came out. I bought every wine term for 5 and 10 cents a click. And it was 5 cents for a few minutes, then it was 10 cents. And I owned that world for 2-3 years, then email. And then my career changed when YouTube came out. I started a wine show on YouTube in February of 2006, a 20-minute me sitting down doing content, which is now considered best practices today. This was 2006. That created brand. I was not paying for that. And so today, the big elephant in the room, and you know this because you're in this sector, because every KOL is doing it, but we're not doing it. We're doing it, but I come here to want to really do it. And I understand why we're not doing it. I understand that subjective opinions of is it on brand enough? I know what your pain points are, but we must have this conversation together that the scale of volume of creative we need, and we must win on relevance, not just on our subjective opinions of brand. And we must do it at scale. So what I would do today is I would produce as much content as humanly possible on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Pinterest, at scale, at the lowest cost possible, which is not at the expense of the quality of the content. And I would do that, and then when I would get the signals, quant and qual signals, I would then amplify true consumer insights into more meaningful, and that is the model that I believe in. I believe in above the line activities. I just think they're overpriced, and I think we guess. And I'd prefer to use social media as a proxy, and I don't believe posting on social media is spray and pray. I don't believe it's test and learn. I believe it's marketing. Why is a social media picture any different than a print ad? As a matter of fact, a social media picture done properly will be consumed by more people than a print ad in Vogue. Yesterday, we put yesterday on a pedestal. We'd rather pay $4 million for a celebrity than $400,000 for a KOL, and the impact's not even close in 2023. We'd rather run a print ad that takes us 4 months to decide that's on brand with our brand positioning, than post a proper photo on Instagram. We don't treat them the same, yet the latter is actually more impactful in 2023. And so I view marketing and social as you do marketing for the sake of doing better marketing. So I would make a pot commitment to social media organic creative, and once the signals played out, I would then use media to amplify, to create brand building and sales. And that's what I would do today. And then when I would do above the line work, I wouldn't do commercials. I would do pre-roll YouTube. I would do connective TV. I would do the new streaming service options, because they are more built on social where I can target. And again, I would try to mitigate my cost of the creative. I came from Silicon Valley world where the biggest companies in the world, Facebook, YouTube, were making videos for their company, commercials on the internet, and they were spending tens of thousands of dollars to make it. Then I came into Madison Avenue, and smaller companies like yours, compared to those companies, were spending millions of dollars to make a video. And it was a very big culture shock for me. I promise you, a video that's 30 seconds long should not cost $500,000. I promise. I promise. But the reason we all laugh is that's the rules of the industry. And the industry's done an incredible job justifying it. And so we must talk about this. And everything I just said enhances luxury, doesn't decline it, but luxury is super struggling with what I'm saying. There's this subconscious in their stomach reaction to this modern that feels like it's diminishing the luxury. When you look at the data, premium watch industry has exploded because of social. Premium car company, premium art, all exploding. Yet in CPG, consumer luxury, there's this bias that the modern communication channel somehow diminishes the brand, which is really detrimental, because this is no longer, and everyone here knows this is not 20-year-olds on social anymore. The amount of 40 to 60-year-olds that are completely living in these platforms and all their consideration is coming from these channels is profound, and we must recognize that. We must accept that truth.